Big addition.
What's up, you guys? TechChucker here, and I've got a review for you of the Marvel Legends X-Men Sauron Wave Bishop. Now, this is one of the only ones from this wave that I absolutely had to have. Super glad that I got it. You can still usually find them for about 20 bucks on Amazon and other places. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and crack this thing open and take a closer look. Alright, the articulation on this figure is pretty good for the most part, except for two primary issues. And the number one is in the head articulation. Now, his head is on a ball peg with a hinge, and the biggest issue is the hair causes him to not be able to look up pretty much at all. He can look all the way down uncomfortably even, and that works good. He's got decent side to side, but that hair is going to cause him to start looking down a little bit awkwardly, and then he does have a decent amount of tilt within that head as well. This sash, like scarf thing, gets in the way a little bit, but you can usually push that out of the way a little bit. Moving down into the shoulders, he's got the standard ball hinges in the shoulders. He can get his arms almost all the way out. He is able to rotate them all the way around. He has an upper bicep swivel that works good. Double jointed elbows, those work decent enough. He's got some pretty big biceps, so about 90 degrees is all you're going to get. And then on the hands, in the wrists, there is a peg joint, and then there is the up and down hinge rather than the standard curl in and out, and that is the same on both hands. So that it actually isn't too bad, though I do wish that they were ball hinges, but Hasbro doesn't do ball hinges. Moving down into the torso, he's got that standard hinge, and he's actually able to go forward quite a bit. He's able to go back quite a bit, but you're going to get kind of a break in sculpt here, and that looks a little bit ridiculous. But he has a waist swivel that works well. In the hips, he's got T-jointed ball joints. Those work pretty good. He's able to kick forward about this far, a little shy of 90 degrees. Kicking back is pretty minimal, not a whole heck of a lot going on there. He has an upper thigh cut that works pretty decent. He's got double jointed knees. Those also work pretty well. There is an upper shin cut that works good. And in the ankle, he has a hinge that gets back that far and pretty good range going forward. That's really good. And then also an ankle rocker, which works really, really well. So overall, the articulation is decent aside from the head, and I wish that there was a little bit more going on there, but I am not going to complain because he is going to be able to use guns and move them up and down. So I'm happy with that. So there's some really, really cool aspects of the sculpt and paint work on this figure. The number one thing, I really like this face sculpt. I think Hasbro did a really nice job, especially with the branded M that is on his face just above his eye, kind of over his eye, which he got when he was in a mutant relocation camp. If you're not familiar, the Sentinels put mutants into these camps. His parents, I believe, were Australian mutants, and they came to America or whatever. Anyway, he was branded as a kid with that M for mutant on his face, and I'm glad that they got that in there. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that maybe, yep, that is sculpted in and then painted, which is really cool. I think the sculpt is really well done on that face with the goatee. They did nice on that. The hair is my biggest issue, and I don't know what they could have done other than made this a little bit softer so that it wouldn't hinder the articulation, but there again, I don't know that they could have done a whole heck of a lot more. I like the emblem that they've got on his shoulder. They've got it on this side as well, different one. These are painted well. They're painted fairly cleanly. The red piece here, I kind of wish that this was a softer, thinner, more rubbery piece so it could, one, lay a little bit more flat. Even if it was cloth, that would have been cool, but you know, it is what it is. I like this belt. I think they did nice. It's a little bit messy, my X for the X-Men, but you know, it is what it is. The one thing that they're missing throughout all of the yellow parts is a little bit of shading. There's zero shading throughout any of this. That would have gone a long way to be able to make this really, really pop. And then also on the blue, there's no shading in the blue. That also would have gone a long way. And the line work on the yellow stripes is pretty bad, I would say. Down on the thighs, the paint is really, really thin. You can see the blue coming through. You can see some missing little bits of yellow there. And then up here, there's a little bit of missing blue. Now this is supposed to cover that, so that's probably not as big of a deal. And then down on the boots, there's just nothing on the boots. There's no paint whatsoever. That would have helped. So overall, I mean, the paint is pretty minimal, and where there is paint, it's pretty weak, aside from in the face. I like the eyes. They've got that silver in the eyes. They did a great job with that. The rest of the paint job is pretty bad, I would say. But the sculpt is nice. I like the sculpt. There's a lot of pouches and whatnot sculpted in, just nothing painted on it. Bishop is a fairly large character in the comics, so let's just see how big he is in figure form, and he is just about 7 inches tall, so that's a pretty good size figure. Let's go ahead and throw Deadpool in next to him, and Bishop is considerably taller than Deadpool, which, you know, I actually expect. I think that scales pretty well, and we'll throw in a mezco Deadpool as well, just to see what he looks like next to him. The only reason I'm throwing the mezco in there is because mezco, I think a Bishop would be pretty cool if you guys made him to go along with Cable that you made. Now, their Cable wasn't my design that I prefer, but I would love it if they made this Bishop. But this is a Hasbro review, so I'm happy with the way that this scales overall. And last but not least are the accessories, and Bishop comes with just this one. It's a handgun that basically is overly big, which is kind of the signature of Bishop. The biggest issue I have with this is there's only one and there's no paint on it. Now, it looks cool. It's sculpted pretty nicely. I'm not upset with that. It's just only having one is kind of a bummer with this character. He has storage for this. It's this giant holster basically on his back, and that slides in. Fits very, very nicely. You could fit it in both ways, but this way doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it fits in both ways. Nice and tight this way. The issue is he's not going to be able to reach it. You know, maybe you can get his arm back that way. So that's not too bad. And then because he has trigger fingers in both hands, he can hold this gun in either hand, which is cool. The only issue with that is then if you wanted him to cock it, because it looks like there is a slider pump action right there, he's not going to be able to really do that with this hand. So alternate hands would have been really nice for this figure. An alternate head would have been cool, but I do really like this sculpt, so it's not that big of a deal, but the alternate hands would have gone a long way, and an additional gun. One for each hand would have been really, really cool. Alrighty, there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave a comment, let me know what you think of this figure, and until next time, I'll see you later.